They taught them that. Also, how to string telephone lines from coconut trees to coconut trees. How to make minor repairs of all the different communication equipment being used at that time. All of this. The 29 young Navajos. Now we're talking June of 1942. Past all of this. They were then separated from the rest of the Marine Corps, put on a bus. United States Marine Corps colonel took them down to San Diego, east side of San Diego, a place called Camp Elliott, to a building about the size of this hall here, with high fence all around it, and a gate. At the gate, 2 guards. Over the gate, there's a big sign that said, "Keep out, top secret operation." Through that gate, the colonel processed these 29 young Navajos into a classroom, the normal classroom size. In that classroom were tables with 4 chairs. In front of each chair, writing tablet, pencil, a blackboard, chalk and eraser. The United States Marine Corps colonel then told these 29 young Navajos, "Gentlemen, you are Marines now. You're ready to go fight the enemy. But before you do that, we'd like for you to develop a military code using your language." Now, this is the first time these 29 young Navajos learned that they were recruited to develop a military code using the Navajo language. What a surprise. I'm sure if you're one of them, we would look at each other and say, "What in the world did we get ourselves into here? We joined Marines to fight, and here we are sitting in a top secret classroom." The colonel emphasized the secrecy of the project. He told them that everything you do in this classroom is top secret. You are not to take anything out of this classroom, out the gate back to your barracks. You are not to tell anyone outside this classroom what you are doing here. No one knows. This is a top secret operation. Also, the code that we would like for you to develop in your language must be subject to memory only. You cannot write it down, carry it around in your pocket, especially when you go out into combat. If you get shot, the enemy retrieves that note from you, and they'll have a way of breaking your code. So, everything stays in the classroom. Whatever you create as a code must be subject to memory only. Thirdly, whatever code you develop in your language, only you in this top secret classroom should know what those code words represent. Another Navajo, not in this top secret classroom, here you use the code words you are developing, should have no idea what in the world you are talking about when you start using it. That's the kind of code we want. Lecture of how the code should be developed, how it is that it's a top secret operation. Eventually, the colonel then said, "Here's a box full of sample military messages. Look at it, read it, and see how you can develop a code to send messages like this. using the code words you're going to be developing. Colonel sat down, lit his pipe, and said, "Go to work, gentlemen." What do you do if you're one of the 29? You join to fight the war, to shoot the enemy. Here we are sitting in the classroom being told, do something that's top secret, no one should know. Well, like all good Marines, these 29 young Navajos went to work, went through the simple messages in the box. They were all written in the English language, using the English alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F. This presented the first big problem for these 29 young Navajos. Now, we're talking June of 1942, just east side of San Diego. Why was it a problem? Navajo is not a written language. Therefore, we don't have Navajo words for letters like A, B, C, D, E, F. How in the world are you going to send something you don't even have words for? So they talk about it. One of the 29 young men went to the blackboard and wrote down a big letter A and said, since only we in this top secret classroom would know what these code words represent, let's call the letter A Belasana. Belasana in Navajo means apple. Okay, they wrote it down in their notepad. A equals Belasana, or apple. What shall we call the letter B? After talking about it, they decided to call the letter B Shash. Shash in Navajo means bear. Okay, so they all agreed. B equals Shash, or bear. How about letter C? Mase. Mase in Navajo means cat. Letter D, B. B in Navajo means deer, D-E-E-R. You see what they were doing? They were selecting Navajo words that they are very familiar with on the reservation, easy to remember. Apple, bear, cat, deer, things that they see all the time on the reservation, easy to remember. Down the line, each letters of the English alphabet getting Navajo code words. Some letters they had difficulty agreeing what to call, like the letter J. Eventually they all agreed to call the letter J Telichoki. Telichoki in Navajo means jackass. Easy to remember. We had a lot of jackasses on the Navajo reservation. We used them to haul wood, water, and they managed the animals that we were charged with. All the way down to the letter Z. Code word for letter Z, Beshdotlish. Beshdotlish in Navajo means zinc. We had zinc on Navajo, very familiar with it. So now, in their notepad, they have developed Navajo code words for each letters of the English alphabet. And only they, the 29 in that top secret classroom, know what those Navajo words represent. If another Navajo hear them say, Belasana, they think we're talking about apple, something you eat. But if you're a code talker, when you hear Belasana, you don't write apple, you write down the letter A. There were quite a few military terms that no Navajo words for. La hand grenade. We never seen hand grenade until we got to San Diego. So what was the code word developed for a hand grenade? Nomasi. Nomasi in Navajo means potato. Hand grenade looks like a potato. All the ships that exist, we never knew these ships exist on Navajo because Navajo is a dry country, no water. Until we got to San Diego, they said there's a huge steel structure, that's a battleship, that's a cruiser, that's a destroyer, and that's an aircraft carrier, and that down there is a submarine. We had to create code words for it. What was the code word for battleship? So in Navajo means big fish. How about the code word for cruiser? So, yaja, little big fish. How about aircraft carrier? Chidi ne yehe. Chidi ne yehe in Navajo means one that carry birds. Submarine. Beshlo. Beshlo in Navajo means armed fish. They're writing it down on their tablets, memorizing it every day, creating code words from sun up to sundown, east side of San Diego, top secret location. Every day after they finish work, before they go back out the gate, search from your toes to the top of your head, making sure you don't take any of these notes back out to the barracks. Every Friday there would be a test on the code words that are created and memorized. The group will be divided into two, Group A and Group B. Group A is given a message containing all the code words that are developed. Sent to Group B. They write it down. They compare the two messages, the one that was sent, the one that was received, to see how much the messages are beginning to look exactly alike. Every Friday test, all through the month of June 1942 into July of 1942. Toward the end of July 1942, 260 code words were developed by this first group of Navajos, 29 of them. Final test, Group A, Group B. Group A is given a long message containing those 260 code words developed and memorized, sent to Group B. Group B wrote it down. They compared the two messages. By golly, they look exactly alike with one exception, punctuation marks. Back to the classroom to create code words for punctuation marks. A period, no problem, daflijan. Daflijan in Navajo means a black dot. Semicolon took a little time to create code word for it, but eventually semicolon was called daflijan, but said not dead. Daflijan, but said not dead in Navajo means a black dot that lost its tail. That would be the code word for semicolon. Question mark, aja. Aja in Navajo means ears because question mark looks like an ear. Every punctuation marks you could think of, code words were developed, written down, memorized. Final test, toward the end of July 1942. Group A, Group B. Group A is given a message containing all of these 260 code words and all punctuation marks they could think of, sent to Group B. Group B wrote it down. They compared the two messages. By golly, it's exactly alike. As a matter of fact, it looks like a Xerox copy of the one that was sent. at this juncture, the Colonel, United States Marine Corps Colonel said, "Gentlemen, we're finished here now. We can test this code you just developed in actual battle to see how your memory works under enemy fire." August 7, 1942, 1st Marine Division landed on the island of Guadalcanal, the first landing in the Pacific. 1st Marine Division. 13 of these 29 young Navajos that just developed this new code were sent overseas to join the 1st Marine Division to test the code under enemy fire. 8 weeks after the landing on Guadalcanal, General Vandegrift, commander of the 1st Marine Division, sent word back to the United States saying, "This Navajo code is terrific. The enemy never understood it," he said. "We don't understand it either," he said. "But it works. Send us some more Navajos." That went back to the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps in Washington, D.C. Of course, he was very happy and ordered San Diego Marine Corps Base to take charge of this new code that was just developed, meaning to start recruiting Navajos using the same method. Don't tell them what you're going to do with them. Just ask them if they want to join the Marines. Ask them if they want to shoot the enemy. Ask them if they'd like to wear this nice blue Marine Corps uniform. And if they say yes, recruit them just like you do all other Marines. That's how this code was developed, tested on the island of Guadalcanal, passed test, and became official United States military code for the remainder of the war in the Pacific. After Guadalcanal, all the other landings, like Bougainville, Cape Cluster, New Britain, Tarawa, Macon, Kwajalein, Inuitok, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, I was on Guam. After Guam, Palalou, very bad island. After Palalou, Iwo Jima, another bad one. After Iwo, Okinawa, another bad one. After Okinawa, some of us were sent into North China to get those Japanese soldiers in Manchuria who refused to surrender. They eventually did. October 25, 1945, we had a separate peace treaty ceremony with close to 1 million Japanese soldiers in Manchuria at Tsingtao, China. All through these battles, Navajo Code was used. After it became official United States military code, to be treated, protected, just like all other military codes that were being used at that time. How is it done? Every landing, Marine Corps and Navy establishes 2 communication networks. Navajo Communication Network for all top secret confidential messages. Messages you don't want the enemy to know goes through Navajo Communication Network. The second communication network was English for all other messages. Messages you don't care if the enemy breaks the code or the enemy understands what you're talking about, goes through English network. These 2 communication networks, Navajo and English, work side by side everywhere. The front line, beach command post, into the command ship. Usually command ship is a battleship. In that communication room of the battleship, there are two tables. Around one table sits Navajo code talkers with message pads to receive and send top secret confidential messages. Messages you don't want the enemy to know, goes through a Navajo network. How was it done? Navy assigns us runners to stand behind each one of us. Right after the first fire is shot on the island. And these runners stand behind us 24 hours a day until the island is secured. When messages start coming in Navajo code, we write it down in English, hand it over our shoulder to the runner. He takes it up to the bridge, gives it to the general or the admiral, directing the operation on the landing. They read it, they respond. The runner brings it back down. If it says Arizona, New Mexico on top of that message, we, the code talkers, send that message back out in Navajo code. But if it doesn't say that, there's another table right next to us. Around that table sits blonde-haired guys. They send that message out in English code. These two communication networks work side by side. Every battle from Guadalcanal all the way through Okinawa, North China. It worked beautifully. The enemy never broke the code. They tried to break the Navajo code. They couldn't do it. That's how the code was developed. That's how it was used in actual battle. Well, starting with 29 young Navajos in 1942, by the time the war ended, there were over 400 of us certified as Navajo code talkers. Went through that same top secret location, learned the code words, sent overseas. Also, in 1942, there was only one Marine division, 1st Marine Division. By the time the war ended, there were 6 Marine divisions, and each division were allocated at least 80 Navajo code talkers to provide that top secret confidential communication network for that division. So whichever division that's going to do the landing, code talkers within that division provide that top secret confidential communication network. Like on Iwo Jima, 3 Marine divisions landed, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So there's about 80 code talkers in each division. Multiply 80 by 3, over 200 Navajo code talkers participated on the Battle of Iwo Jima. How does it sound? Well, let's go to Iwo Jima because it's most familiar to everybody. That island on the south side is Mount Suribachi. In the middle is an airstrip. On the north side, some little hills. A company of Marines was pinned down Rev Bagley on the north side. Can't get out. They were being fired upon from 3 major directions. Mortar shells were being dropped on them. They were desperately hunkering down in their foxhole, can't move. Looks like this is the end. Company commander scribbled a message, gave it to Navajo code talker covering that particular company on the front line, asking him to send that message to beach command post. asking for help. What did he say?